Right, hello, hello. We have just 3 lessons left, and then we are going to be having our exponential summative. So we're really close, and then we have spring break. So today we are talking about average rate of change. Now, really quick, let's check out this equation here. Do you remember this from try 1 or try 2? Hopefully you do. We used this to find the slope of a line. If you remember, I would say like, here's 2 points, find the slope of those lines. And we went x1, y1, x2, y2, and we plug them in to calculate the slope. For average rate of change, we're using that same formula. So super great, we've already seen this before. So functions are linear. Again, linear is what we did all try 1, try 2. They are linear if they have a constant rate of change. So if this number here is the same between multiple points. So again, that is what makes a straight line. Again, because they're changing by the same amount, a constant rate. Exponential functions do not have a constant rate of change. And if we think about it, it makes sense. If we graph an exponential function, we're either flat and then get really steep. So our rate of change, how quickly or slowly we're changing, is different as we look at different parts on our graph. From here to here, we're not changing by very much. Here we're changing by a little bit more. Here we're changing by a lot. So our rate of change is different between each set of points, so it's not constant. So what we have to do is we have to find an average rate of change to determine the slope on specific intervals. So we're finding an average and estimating it. It's on a slight curve, so it's not the exact, but it's close enough. So to find an average rate of change from a table, a graph, or equation, we're going to take 2 values, 2 xy points, and we're going to plug them into that slope formula. So it's the change in y over the change in x. So again, y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. So I have find the average rate of change from 0 to 3. Now this format, we've seen this only maybe a few times. This just means when x is 0 to when x is 3. So that means if I look at my table, x is 0 is right here. So that's the point 0, 3. And then x is 3 is right here. And that's the point 3, 24. So there's my 2 points. Now we're going to plug them into the formula. So just like the past, I'm going to go ahead and label these. So 0 was my first point, so we'll say that's x1, y1. 3 is x2, y2. So y2 is 24, y1 is 3, x2 is 3, x1 is 0. So 24 minus 3 is 21, 3 minus 0 is 3, 21 divided by 3 equals 7. So we would say my average rate of change from 0 to 3 is 7. So again, find your 2 points. Rewrite them as an ordered pair. I find that really helpful, but you don't necessarily have to do that. And then plug them into your equation. Again, label those points, and then make sure it's y values on top, x values on bottom. All right, go ahead and try this you-do problem. So pause me, try it, and then come back when you're ready. All right, So I'm going to do those in a different color. I'll circle it in green. So we're doing when x is 2, which is right here, and when x is 4, right here. So we're looking at the point 2, 12. And then the point 448. And then again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to label them x1, y1, x2, y2. So first point. Ooh, I got to zoom in. It's not working. So we got x1, y1, x2. Oh my goodness, y2. There we go. All right, y2, 48, minus y1, x2, minus x1. Okay, then we get 36 over 2, and 36 divided by 2 equals 18. With these points, if you started with the 12 first, like let's say up top you did 12 minus 48, that is okay. Excuse me. However, you need to make sure the x values on the bottom line up. So if you started with the 12 first, you need to make sure you start with that x value. So your bottom would also be flipped around. So you should have the x and the y that are paired together on top of each other in the equation. So again, 48 and 4 were in the same point, and you can see here how they line up on top of each other. Okay. Now let's do graphing. So equation is the same. We just have to look at the graphs to find the 2 points, which can be a little bit challenging. So if we look here, we're starting at when x is -1 to when x equals 0. So on my graph, I'm going to find when x is -1, and my y value there was 4. So my first point is -1, 4. Now when x is 0 is right here, and that y value is 1. So now we're at 0, 1. And then now we can do the same thing. Label our points, plug them into our equation. So we have x1, y1, x2, y2. y2 is 1, y1 is 4, x2 is 0, minus x1, -1. 1 minus 4, if you need calculators, use them, gives us -3. And then 2 negatives here become a plus sign. So we get -3 over 1. And that just equals -3. And for this, that makes sense. When we have a decay, our rate of change is negative because it's going down. Our multiplier is not negative. Remember, our multiplier is less than 1 if it's a decay. But our rate of change is going down. Okay. Go ahead and try this one. So you're doing when x is 0, and then when x is 2. Write down your 2 points, y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. Come back when you're ready. All right. So for this one, we're looking at when x is 0, which is right here, and that's at the value 3. So you can see my point 1 is right here. And then we're looking at when x is 2, which is over here, and that went up to 12. And you can see that with my point 2 right there. So then we labeled 12 minus 3, y2 minus y1, and then x2 minus x1, 9 over 2. You could leave it as 9 over 2 or give me the decimal 4.5. I will accept either of those answers. All right, last one. So again, from here, it's just finding those 2 points on the table and then calculating it. On the graph, you actually have to use the x value to find the y value and then plug them in. For equations, so find the average rate of change on this equation from 0 to 2, and then plug in the, and then find your, oh my goodness, find the rate of change from this equation. You have to use your x values and plug them into your equation to find y, and then create your formula all filled out. So I have an equation and I have an x value. So I'm going to plug it in and I'm going to get out my y value. So I'm going to start with x equals 0 and I'm going to do 2 times 3 to the 0 power. Remember, we do 3 to the 0 first, and that gives us 1. You can use a calculator if you need to. And 2 times 1 is 2. Now I'll do when x is 2, and we're going to do the same thing. Plug 2 in. So we have 2 times 3 to the 2nd power. Again, use a calculator if you need to. 3 to the 2nd power means 3 times 3, so that equals 9. And 2 times 9 gives us 18. So now we have our 2 points. My first point was when x is 0. I get out a 2. And my second point was when x is 2. We get out an 18. We'll plug them in. x1, y1, x2, y2. So y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. And we get 16 over 2, which equals 8. So again, for this one, you're plugging in that x value for x and seeing what you get out for your y. So our first point was 0, we plugged it in, we get out a 2, that's my first ordered pair. Then we plug in a 2, see what we get out 18, that's my second pair. And then calculate it with your formula. Okay. Next up, we're going from 1 to 5. Again, use a calculator for the exponents if you need to. So 3 to the 0 was 1, 3 squared was 9, and then we multiply it. Go ahead and try this one. Pause me to do it, and then come back when you are ready. All right. So just like above, I'm going to take turns. I'm going to plug in my 1 for x first. So we're going to do 2 times 3 to the 1st power. 3 to the 1st power is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. Then we're going to plug in 5. So we're going to do 2. Oh my, it's not freaking. 2 times 3 to the 5th. And I'm going to go ahead and use my calculator because I don't know what 3 to the 5th is off the top of my head. So we're going to do 3 to the 5th power, and that's 243. And then times that by 2, 486. Okay, so we have 1 comma 6, and we have 5, 486. So we're going to do 486 minus 6, and then 5 minus 1, and we're going to get 480 divided by 4, which is 120. All right, I want you to go ahead and try your independent practice, and you'll have the answer key to check your answers, and let me know if you need help. And do your mastery check.